Hello, my name is Dr. Carlo Carandang, and I'm a psychiatrist. Today, I will answer a question about: does obsessive compulsive disorder get worse with age, and does it go away? Obsessive compulsive disorder is also known as OCD, which is a major anxiety disorder characterized by obsessions and repetitive compulsions. So the first part of the question is, does OCD get worse with age? OCD does not necessarily get worse with age, but it does last a long time, and most people that recover from obsessive compulsive disorder have a relapse of the disorder. So in other words, OCD lasts a long time, and for the small minority that recover from an episode of OCD, they have a relapse. In other words, the symptoms come back. So OCD only goes away, to answer the second part of your question, OCD only goes away in a small minority of people who have OCD, because the majority of people who have OCD and who go on to recover from an episode of OCD, the majority go on to have a relapse of OCD symptoms where they get the obsessions and compulsions again. The good news is there are ways to reduce your OCD symptoms. You can start by figuring out how your OCD symptoms developed. Only after you figure out how your OCD symptoms develop can you then go and start to address the cause of your OCD symptoms. And once you understand the cause, then you can start to problem solve and reduce your symptoms. So let's give an example here. Let's say you have OCD and you have an obsession of checking locks and stoves frequently. So let's say your trigger is that you're going to leave the house. So let's say you're leaving the house and then you're checking things over. You're checking all the locks and you want to check the stove. So let's say the thought comes in your mind that let's say that you have a thought that the doors are unlocked, and you also have the thought that the oven is on and the stove is on. So then you tell yourself, I must check these things. However, these thoughts that the stove or the oven is on, and also the thought that the doors are unlocked while you are away, gives you anxiety, because the anxiety is not really caused by the locks or the stove or the oven. It's caused by your thoughts about the locks and the stove and the oven. Because you are leaving the house, you have this fear that the locks to the doors are unlocked, and the thought that goes through your mind is that you will be robbed. And also, when you have the thought that the stove and oven may be on, you might think that when you leave the house, that the house might burn down. So these thoughts and beliefs then cause significant anxiety. So you get fearful, you get worried, then you get the physical sensation of anxiety from the adrenaline response from your thoughts, such as you get racing heartbeat, you might start to sweat, your legs might tremble, you might get a lump in your throat. So these are some of the physical symptoms of anxiety that you might get. So because the anxiety and the physical anxiety symptoms are so uncomfortable, you then engage in repetitive behaviors, otherwise known as compulsions, to reduce the anxiety caused by your repetitive obsessive thoughts. So if you have the obsession that the doors are unlocked, or the stove is still on and the oven is still on, then your compensatory behaviors to reduce the anxiety associated with those obsessions is to do repetitive behaviors. So you might check the locks on your doors repetitively. So you might go around checking all the doors, the locks on the doors, all the locks on the windows, maybe 10, 20, 30 times. So this can take a long time to keep checking, because actually just checking once does not appease you. You have to check repeatedly because you have anxiety that the doors may be unlocked, because you might get robbed if you're not absolutely certain that the doors are locked or the windows are locked. Also, you will repeatedly check the stove and oven as you think that the stove or oven are on, and if you leave, then a fire may ensue and burn down your house, and therefore you repeatedly check your oven and stove if they are off, and you might do this 10, 20, 30 times. So if you can imagine this, although the compulsive behaviors reduce your anxiety over the short term, it actually maintains your overall anxiety levels. And then this maintains the negative vicious cycle of OCD, where you just keep checking and checking and checking and checking, and pretty soon you're not able to leave the house as you just spend all your time checking, because you're never reassured that the doors are indeed locked, or the oven and stove are indeed turned off. For more information and help on obsessive-compulsive disorder and other anxiety disorders, please visit AnxietyBoss.com. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Carlo Carandang.